Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome into GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today. Your weekly dose of everything GarageBand and Apple and Logic and home recording and tariffs, because that seems to dominate our life at the moment. On this week's show, we'll be talking about Apple's quarterly results. We'll be talking tariffs because, of course, we are AI. What's the future look like? What's happening with Google? Are they having to sell Chrome? Interesting stuff ahead. And movies from places like, oh, I don't know, Australia should be charged a 100% tariff to be shown in the US. Yeah, that's a thing at a place. G'day. Are you doing well? Oh, yeah, we'll also be talking about mastering. There is actually some GarageBand related stuff here because you might have noticed through the week I did a video about GarageBand mastering. Can you actually master and should you actually master using GarageBand? We'll talk about that in the second half, but we've got a bunch of news and notes to get to. As always, if you got questions, I got answers, or at least I've got a chat room full of folks who can usually answer questions better than I can. So you can put a big Q in front of your question, and that will just tell me that you've got a question. And we'll try and answer it. But we are brought to you by my GarageBand FAQ. Yep, just go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. I make it simple for you. I don't know how to use my Ecamm Live, but I do make it simple for you to check out all of the information I have about GarageBand. You can jump over to that website there that Thomas Christ is letting you know about. You can also support me through PayPal, through Super Chat donations, by joining the membership, or by joining Patreon. I don't ask for much, do I? No. And importantly, look, I was going to make this the last thing that we talked about, but I'm actually going to bring it up to the front here because I think it's kind of important. Yeah, for our friends in the US in particular, but it's going to affect people in other parts of the world as well, which we'll talk about in a jiffy. But yeah, I don't normally say this. If you've been around the channel for a while, you'll know that I say use the gear you have now to get done what you need to get done. You don't need to buy new gear. You don't need to have the latest and greatest and best. Except there's a small problem right now, and that is that the exports coming out of China around all things, but including technology, are starting to decrease for obvious reasons. If you don't know, then yeah, turn on a TV or turn on the internet and check out the news. So, because tariffs, there's not as much stuff coming in. There's been reports from the different ports of container ships not arriving or not having as many containers of gear and stuff in them. We've got issues with Apple, which we'll talk about in a jiffy in more detail. But I think that the time is kind of now that if you have some income to spare, which is not a great deal of us at this point in this life cycle of the world, and you are thinking about having some gear to get you through. It's kind of like the pandemic situation now. At the start of the pandemic, we were all like, this will be over in a couple of weeks, it'll be fine. And then we all got stuck at home and supply chains dried up and there was issues with getting hold of things. So I don't want to say go out and spend all your money and buy stuff, but I think if you're in the market for new gear, go to my gear guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear. You got links there to Amazon, Sweetwater, eBay, Thomann, and you can check out all the stuff I use in my home studio, my complete list of stuff there. That is an affiliate site, so they will break off a small chunk and send it to me if you do make a purchase from there. And like I say, if you've watched all the videos I do around here and my usual commentary on this stuff, I'm not often just sprouting it off and saying, yes, buy, 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 buy. There are some unscrupulous folks that run YouTube channels that do quote unquote reviews that get not only a kickback from the things that they sell, but actually get paid by the reviewer, paid by the company to do a review. I've never done that and I never will do that. So when I get stuff, it's for free. I don't accept money to do reviews of products because I don't think that is right. To the point where, if you watched last week's show, I showed you the Apple AirPods Max. And I said to you, these are really, 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 really good. But I'm not spending 900. I'm not recommending that most of you go out and spend 900 or $600, depending where you are in the world, on them right now. The value return is not enough. If I was to be more unscrupulous, what would I say? Oh, everyone must buy a pair because I get a 3% Amazon kickback if you buy them. But no, I think you should buy a $100 pair of Sennheisers or AKGs or Sonys as your monitor headphones for now. I say all that to say, g'day everyone. How are you? Hello, Thomas Christ, our wonderful moderator. Slinging links as always. We got Cruisin' for a Bluesin', which is one of the coolest usernames I've seen in a very long time. Good to see you. Maya is here as well. We've got other folks here. We've got Joe and Barry Glenn who is here. We have Al Davis Music is here. And we have Jade Star here as well. I'm going to have to do something a little bit rude here. I'm going to have to take a phone call. I know, weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a song. I'm going to play you a song of mine called 6 and 8 because this is the song that we're going to be playing a little later on the show. And here's a lyric video of my song called 6 and 8 that you can take a little look and listen to while I deal with something on the phone. So apologies, we will be back with our normal programming in just a jiffy. Let's take a listen to 6 and 8.
Dance while you've got the chance and have the talent, but I would rather sit and play with toys and hang out with the boys and start some trouble. So she dragged me away, all the while trying to say, son, there'll be time for all that, you better start dancing. Time after time we are standing in line and we're making the most of each rhyme. I'm happy to see that you're waltzing with me and we're dancing in 6 and 8 time. Now I found dance, and there would be romance around the corner. 10 years later we would be as one, a different kind of fun, but one that's lasting. Working, mortgage and kids, wouldn't change it for quiz. Only wish there was more time to go dancing. Time after time we are standing in line and we're making the most of each rhyme. I'm happy to see that you're waltzing with me and we're dancing in 6 and 8 time. Now we're older, time is moving on, like a distant song you don't remember. But I know one thing that will never fade, the memories we made will last forever. And my mother was right, and to my delight, now I can pass on her words to the next generation. Time after time we are standing in line and we're making the most of each rhyme. I'm happy to see that you're waltzing with me and we're dancing in 6 and 8 time. Time after time we are standing in line and we're making the most of each rhyme. I'm happy to see that you're waltzing with me and we're dancing in 6 and 8 time. Yes, we're dancing in 6 and 8 time. We're dancing in 6 and 8 time. We're dancing in 6 and 8 time.
No, unfortunately, I didn't leave my mic open, though that would have been entertaining for you all. Thank you, Cruising for a Bluesin'. So yeah, that's the song. If you checked out my video through the week about mastering in GarageBand, that's what we showed, and I'll show a little more of it in just a little jiffy when we get past the news segments and onto that one. So thank you for your patience. Your call is indeed important to us. So that was I'll take you behind the scenes here. That's how this show rolls. Yeah, that was someone who was going to call me at some stage between 8:30 and 2, and of course they called me right on 8:30, which is fine and it's good, and it means that the service that they're coming to perform can be performed nice and early. Yes, I know the mysteries. It's house maintenance stuff. It's not that interesting. Yes, I am back. I'm back. Should we keep talking? So yeah, buy your tech now. It was the last item in the news and notes, but we've made it the first. Let's quickly run through. Yes, your regularly scheduled Pete Gramming. Let's run through Apple versus Epic. You remember this from a couple of years ago, where the App Store. Look, there's a poll here on the chat on the channel right now on the chat. If you would like to answer the poll about whether you think that Apple should be able to enable you to install stuff from outside the App Store. So here's the problem, right? There's this really popular game you might have heard of called Fortnite. If you've got some sweaty Fortnite kids in your life, you'll know about Fortnite. That's usually boys aged 8, which is way too young to play Fortnite, up to, I don't know, 17. So that's the key demographic. But there's also older folks. I don't want to shame anyone playing Fortnite. So Epic Games made Fortnite, and there was a problem because Fortnite is built around microtransactions. That is, the game is free. Have you heard of this? It's called freemium. Yeah, freemium. So you get the game free, but then if you want the rad skins and the dope guns and the lit armor, I don't know. I don't play Fortnite. Then you need to pay for it. And the problem was that because you had to install the game through the App Store and because you had to buy everything through the App Store, Epic were having to pay 30% of any purchase back to Apple. And they said, no fair, we're going to take our game and go home. And they did. And they went to court. And it actually, weirdly enough, there's kind of a bunch of resolutions that came out of this. So you might be aware that in the EU, in the European Union now, you can install what are called like alternative app stores, and you can essentially sideload in apps to do really cool things. Like you got like Nintendo game emulators, and you got a whole bunch of cool apps that Apple would never allow, and they're in this as alternative app store. The problem here is that Apple are saying, no, 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 no. Security, privacy, slippery slope. We're going to end up like Chrome or Windows, where there's all of this garbage, where someone's saying, oh, quick, here's how to install GarageBand on your Chrome device. And it's actually a piece of spyware. So Apple don't want it. Epic do want it. And then apparently what happens, see, is that Apple sort of said, yeah, you can do this. You can send a link out. And if you've used something like Audible, you'll know about this. So it's a link. If you want to buy a book in Audible, you can't buy it in the Audible app through normal means. You have to click a button that takes you out. Now, that's all been fixed because Audible works differently now. But let's just say you wanted to buy an in-app purchase inside it. Yeah, you're going through the App Store. You'd know this from your own apps or your subscriptions to different apps for music stuff. You buy it through the App Store. You can't, for mobile, do it outside of the App Store. And this is why they were saying not fair. Well, they then provided a thing that said, hey, if you want to do an in-app purchase, yes, we will allow you to do a link. Turns out Apple was then charging 27% on those. So yay, 3% less to be able to click a link and do it on a website. Yeah, so the companies were not too happy about this, and just a couple of days ago, and there's an article that you can have a read of and check out if you want to. You can find out all about this, but a judge said no bueno. And there's now a developer class action suit from, and I love the name of this game. So it talks about Fortnite there, but then there's a game called, what was it called? Like Total Sweat Basketball or something. I can't find it there, but yeah, there's. It's funny because it's like, yeah, we want people to be able to buy the Lakers jersey for $2 and not have to pay 27 or 30% through that. Yeah, Spotify got updated in the US to allow payments outside the app store after the ruling. There you go. And yeah, and it is weird. Like you'll notice this if you go to subscribe to anything, if you do it within Apple, the companies are now charging you more. So if you say try and get a Disney Plus subscription or a Netflix subscription, actually Netflix I think said no, you can't do it. You have to only do it from the website now. But I know that my Disney Plus subscription cost me $13.99. They've put it up to like $17.99 now. But if I quit it in the App Store and then sign up through the website, it goes back down to $15.99. So yeah, there's these incentives for you to do things outside of the convenient place, and it's all just it's messy. So I say all that to say, what do you think? Do you think we should be able to do this? And we have our poll. Let's see what the studio audience says about this. So of you folks, you 44% said yes, 22% said no, 16% don't know, and 16% don't care. So there you go. So since 1 in 3 of you don't care about this issue at all, we're going to move on. To quarterly results. So, yes, it is that time of the year where quarterly results are coming out. The highlights of this were a $100 billion stock buyback, which, if you don't know, is what companies do when they're doing really well. So if a company's doing really well, they want to preserve their stock price. And the problem is that if a lot of people out there own the stock and start speculating and selling, and the confidence can drop. If they own the stock, if they buy back the stock, not only does it make shareholders happy because they get a return, but they can maintain the share price. So it's not a natural thing, but the share market, the stock market is not natural. So that's what's happened. Probably the interesting thing that impacts folks like you and me, or we're actually the contributors to, is that they've doubled the revenue. In the last year, they've doubled the revenue in services. So what are services? That's Logic Pro subscriptions, baby. That's all of your ongoing Apple-related subscriptions, your iCloud subscriptions, your Apple One subscriptions, your Apple TV, your Apple Music. So everything in the services realm is now not quite outstripping your iPads and your iPhones, but it's getting up there. For a long time, services was like this little tiny chunk. And now you'll know not only through Apple, but through all the other companies that you're no doubt dealing with, everybody wants an ongoing commitment. I'm in a battle right now trying to find. By the way, does anyone use a VPN that they like and know and trust? I'm with ExpressVPN right now because Leo Laporte, they sponsor This Week in Tech. When I signed up, it made me put on automatic renewals, and it automatically renewed without telling me, which I thought was just crappy business practices. So I've kept it for the next year, but I turned off auto renewal. I want to just buy it for another year now because I'm like lazy. I don't want to reset up all my devices. The only way to buy it is to turn back on automatic renewals and then go in and turn it off. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that is dark patterns in the worst possible way. That is just horrible business practice that is completely anti-customer and completely pro-business. And I get it, you want people to stay subscribed, but do you really want people to stay subscribed against their will because they forget to turn? Oh, okay, I just answered my own question. Of course they do. Of course they bloody do. Hello, Jeremy Deshaw. Hope you're doing well, mate. Yeah, but YouTube Premium as well is much cheaper than that. Cheaper than doing it through. Most things are cheaper if you do it. And look, you can still use the apps. This is the thing. So if you get Disney Plus and you do it on the website, and then you open the app and log in, and you're fine. It's just that doing it through. And look, there's massive benefits of having it in your subscriptions. It sits in your Apple subscriptions tab, so you can actually manage it from there. You can quit without having to even contact the company, which is great. I found that. Like, so my Netflix, if I ever wanted to quit that, actually, no, it was Hulu. That's right. Hulu, I actually did quit. I want to quit the gym. So I quit my Hulu. And I had to go through this horrible dark pattern where it's like, yes, keep everything. And the no thanks is this little tiny thing in the corner. And then I do the no thanks. And it's like, are you really, really sure? What if we give you a free month? And I'm like, no thanks. It's like, but are you really, really sure? What if we reduce your cost to 50% for 3 months after that? Like, yeah, no thanks. So yeah, the idea there. And Uber are the worst for this. If you've ever had Uber One, you'll have it. You go on a promo thing and then you go to cancel it. And it's like, what if we give it to you for $1 for the next 3 months? And you're like, I'd be stupid not to accept that. Except that people accept it, and then 3 months later they forget to cancel it. So anyway, I say that Yeah, Amazon are the same. Amazon Prime are the same. You must commit to renewing for the rest of your mortal existence. Exactly. Thanks, Al Davis. Got your question. We'll get into Q&A in a bit. Um, Tariffs. So you might have seen the news that Apple are sort of moving around their manufacturing of the iPhone and the iPad to other places to avoid the China tariffs. The only problem there is, even though the China tariffs are currently 145%, the Vietnam tariffs are still 46% at the moment. Look, all these numbers mean nothing. Can we just cut to the chase and say all these numbers are kind of just giant BS? It's not going to be that way. But the bigger problem with tariffs, and I know people hate the T word now, and I'm sorry that we have to talk about it. I won't talk about it for too long. But the big problem, we've just seen it with the Xbox, that Microsoft have put their prices up, not because tariffs have actually impacted the current Xbox production, but because it could. So we're seeing companies use this as an excuse to add the cost to their products. And as a certain little black duck over here speculated last week and the week before, they're doing it internationally. So, whilst this has absolutely zero to do with Australia and our relations with China, which are still quite good, we don't have ridiculous 145% tariffs. But if you want to buy an Xbox here in Australia, you also pay more now because of this ridiculousness of the trade war between the US and China. So, and if you're in the Europe, EU, UK, Canada, same stuff, same S. So it's kind of getting stupid. All right, should we just continue on? Yeah, let's forget tariffs. Let's all have a nice bowl of strawberry ice cream. Apple AI. Yeah, so the whole question of Apple's AI is really interesting at the moment. If you use Buggerlugs and you say, "Hi, Buggerlugs, can you answer this question?" She'll usually say no. And if she doesn't now, what does she say? "Oh, I can check ChatGPT with you." Cool. So Apple have done their Apple thing. And they did the same with Google. There's precedent for this. Apple didn't want to reinvent the wheel with search, so they just went to the biggest and quote unquote best and decided to use Google search in all their default stuff, as does Firefox, as do a lot of other things, which is kind of related to our next story. By the way, so the whole point there is that I don't think Apple are focusing on their AI. From what we're hearing and seeing, Apple intelligence is going to be just the skin, and the guts of it, the large language models and the generation platforms are going to be other things. Google's in hot water. Yeah, yeah. They've been accused of being a monopoly, and there's a whole bunch of things that are being proposed right now. Everything from the selling off of the search business to the fact that Chrome should be debundled from Google. People have even speculated that YouTube should be debundled from Google. Who are my, as John Oliver says, business daddies? So yeah, there's a lot of speculation happening around Google at the moment. My personal view on this is that yeah, that there should be competition. That when one company controls too much of anything, it's not good for consumers because they can utilize it. And weirdly enough, with the whole monetization of Google, Larry Page, when he was first developing Google, said, "Oh, it's a search engine, and the second that we start accepting advertising, you're basically going to lose the trust and you're going to lose the integrity of the search engine." And what do we see now when you Google something? Yeah, all those sponsored links that rise to the top. And it used to just be, they were just the little ones on the side, the blue ones on the side with the ads, and you knew that, and all your actual content. And now, well, first of all, you get your Gemini AI response at the top, and then you get the real responses like buried under a sea of sponsored stuff. It's all fun. Yeah. Meanwhile, in Canada, advertisers say that stuff already in stock is still cheap because tariffs were not applied. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a mess. It's a mess. It'll get messier. Hey, would you give your credit card to an AI robot and trust them to make purchases on your behalf? Well, Visa are sure hoping that you will, with their Visa Intelligent Commerce Initiative. Yes, the Vicky for short. So the idea here is that it would be a credit card, But what you do see is you program an AI to know your preferences and things, and it will just buy things for you. Now, look, if this is in terms of, I can see where this is useful. If you could have something that, and we've already got these tools that assess your spending, work out where you may be spending too much, or you got subscriptions you don't use, or whatever, and maybe like there's that little thing with the Amazon, oh, sorry, where you ask your Amazon branded bugalugs and you're like, I need new socks. And they're like, would you like to buy the same socks you bought last time? You're like, yes. And they're like, would you like express delivery this afternoon so that someone has to pee in a water bottle to get it to you in time? And you're like, yes, I want pee bottle socks. And they're like, cool. They'll drop them on your front doorstep in 3 hours. They won't ring the doorbell and they'll be stolen by porch pirates. And you're like, yay, where do I sign up? So yeah, this is sort of coming. One of the things that I fundamentally disagree with is that we should be using automation without human intervention. I think automation is great, but there has to be a fail-safe. There has to be a human intervening at some point to ensure that we do have the visibility of this stuff and that we do have some security in place. Because if you let the robots control the robots, yeah, we're all doomed. You've seen Terminator, man. You know what I'm saying. Movies in the US should be, yeah, talked about that up front. So this just another ridiculous tariff thing that will impact people. And the reason I'm putting this in the GarageBand Weekly show is that a lot of movie makers are now actually able to do, short filmmakers are literally shooting and editing on iPhones and iPads and MacBooks. So the Apple ecosystem is very much worldwide, and people are literally making movies, not only short films, but feature-length movies using a whole bunch of Apple gear. And this is going to be detrimental to them because America is the biggest market. But apparently, Americans only want to watch not only American movies, but American movies shot in America and produced in America. Which, if you know anything about movie production, so many movies are actually shot and produced in Vancouver because previously it was way too expensive. Are you sensing a pattern here? It was way too expensive to actually shoot Hollywood movies in Hollywood because Hollywood has ridiculous prices, ridiculous costs of living. So they're already up in Canada or out in the Midwest and out in Texas shooting these movies. And is that what does that even mean? So yeah, it makes no sense. Anyway, Visa, it's everywhere you don't want to be, right? Right. This to make sure that, yeah, exactly. To produce in the US, which what will it do? Like everything, not only is it 100% tariff, so 100% tariff on movies. So this means that if the latest Fast and Furious 14 that's shot in Toronto, if you were going to go watch that, instead of you paying, what do you pay for a movie these days? $20? It's more than that now, isn't it? $25. It's like, oh no, sorry, that was shot in Toronto. That'll be $50. Thank you. Do you have to pay more for the popcorn too? How does that work? I don't understand. I don't get it. Yeah, many Marvel are shot in London, and a lot of movies are actually shot down here in Australia. So we have quite a decent, because we have incentives for people to come down here. We like that because we don't have we don't have a huge movie business. So a lot of American movies are actually brought down here. The Matrix one's classic example. A lot of The Matrix was shot in Sydney, and the outskirts in New South Wales because it just was cheaper and easier to do that, to just bring your few stars over here and use Australian production crews than it was to pay union wages. Yeah, and yes, part of it's creepy because they don't want to pay people proper wages. I get it. It's the same reason that the iPhone's manufactured in China. Because if all this stuff was done with proper union waged staff with great working conditions in first world countries, this iPhone that's $1,000 would be at least $3,000. And that's just reality. And I get it. We don't love it, but we all live in the same capitalist society. $29.99 to stream a new Marvel movie. Yeah, which is weird because it's only that here. Only that here. Actually, no, you can buy it for that. You can rent for about, what is it? About $10, I think, to rent like a new release to stream it. I don't know. It's weird. I got one more thing to talk about, and this is a question I had during the week, and I thought I'm going to do a video about it, but I thought I would just answer it now because for the longest time, people have been asking me about live chat versus top chat, And I thought, I've got to go to the source. I actually searched on YouTube and there's no videos about this. So I'm going to make the definitive live chat versus top chat video. So if you've got information or observations or anything that you've discovered about live chat versus top chat in the past, feel free to share it with me because I would love to hear it. But this is what Google say. So if you didn't know, if you're watching this live stream right now, there's a little drop down box at the top of your chat, and it says, in fact, I can show you it because I've got the stream here right now. Actually, no, yes, there it is. So I'm viewing this in my analytics window, so you can see all the behind the scenes stuff. But if I click on this button at the top here, you can see we've got top chat, live chat, and fan funding. Now, fan funding, if I do that, it's only going to show me this, that we've got a new member that's Denise. If anyone made a super chat or a super sticker, I can actually check that. And that's really handy, especially for me as the creator, because it means that if I want to make sure that I don't miss a super chat or a super sticker or a giveaway of memberships or a new member, I can actually do that. But for the majority of folks, this top chat is what is enabled on a live stream. And why is that? What is that? Well, let's go back and ask Google. So, top chat. This view filters messages such as potential spam to help make chat easier to read and more useful. And live chat is not filtered and it shows all messages as they come in. But there's a little more to it. If we have a quick drink. Top chat shows what viewers are likely to value and interact with. What happens in top chat is based on various signals, including the chat text, handle text, channel name text, avatar, and video. So it's suddenly that the onion peels open and the layers start showing themselves. Top chat may not show content that YouTube detects viewers are not likely to value or interact with, which is very different from spam, isn't it? This can include comments that are detected as potentially inappropriate, spam, or impersonation may not show up in top chat, or impersonation. Or impersonation may not show up in top chat. Detection is based on a variety of signals such as the text, commenter channel name or handle text, avatar, and the channel moderation settings. Clear as mud, right? Yeah, so it doesn't really tell you. So like most things on the internet, it is a black box of algorithmic stuff that we don't know about. And the reason I sort of started delving into this and looking into this is that I got questions from folks. I did a video about why my chat's not showing up, and about how moderation works, and about how you can be blocked and banned and all that sort of thing. And people are like, "Oh, I've been shadow banned. No one sees my comments." No, for the vast majority of it, the reason your comments don't show up in top comments is that you are just chatting rubbish. Can I be really honest? We've all been in those live streams, right? We've all been in live streams where someone just comes in and they say stuff that's not necessarily offensive or spammy, but it's just irrelevant. It's like more about them than it is about the chat, and no one's engaging with that. And no one really wants to hear that. So if I'm doing a show like this and someone comes in and goes, "Yo, brah, can you play my fire beat?" I would hope that top chat knows that ain't no one interested in that. Not convinced that it does, but there's also people, because there's different moderation settings you can put in place too. So people like Thomas and Jade and others would know this, and if you've ever done a live chat, and Leela as well, you would know that you can put on slow chat. So you can put on a chat setting that only allows people to post their chat messages once every 30 seconds or minute. But a lot of people want to chat a lot more than that. They want to put, or they'll put, instead of putting one sentence, they'll do like word, 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 which doesn't mean anything. So I'm not saying that top chat is great and actually particularly useful. I think, as Thomas says, they kind of need to just get rid of it and make live chat just that. Just make live chat filter out this stuff anyway, and just don't have two different things. Because if live chat is actually, if top chat's doing a good job, people should use it and like it. But the problem is, like everything on the internet, false positives. So it thinking that something is not something that they want, and then it being there. So for instance, when I do the whole hashtag thing on Your Music Live, I've no doubt that live chat will start sort of blocking top chat will start blocking those, because it's like, everyone's just saying the same thing. Or I don't know what the other thing Another example of it. Maybe the Z's for Michael, aka Zland Band, when we play his. So a lot of the memey type stuff can happen. And interestingly, what I thought was most interesting about that is that it mentioned the name. So if your name is, oh, I don't know, poo poo in my diaper, I'm just making one up just for things. It may say, well, things from this should be devalued in the algorithm based on someone that has just got a regular username. And obviously, your first thought is, yes, offensive names or offensive avatars. What I really hope is that everyone that uses that avatar that all the 4chan or 8chan or arsehole people were using for a while, that they get devalued. I'm hoping the algorithm is learning things like that. And a lot of people don't like this because they think, oh, but freedom of speech. Guess what? This ain't freedom of speech. People get very confused with freedom of speech. It's A, it's an American thing only, and B, it doesn't mean that you have the freedom to say whatever you want in any forum, any platform. It's freedom of persecution from the government for the things that you say against the government. As simple as that. And I'm an Australian, and I know Americans love it when I lecture you about your own constitution, but please go and read it before you start sprouting off that me hiding you in my comments section or in my live chat is a freedom of speech issue, because it is 100% not. This is a private forum that I'm responsible for in many ways, and it's hosted on a private company. So what goes on in here is chosen by me and this community. And if you don't like that, I'm really sorry. Go over to Rumble. That's all I got to say about that. Hello, g'day to Hugh Caldwell. Hello to Chris Lane Music. Yes, you don't need live chat for don't you need live chat for membership gifting? I don't think so. I think if you're on top chat, it'll still let you do it. You do need to go in and adjust that setting. I never turn on live chat. Wonder how much I miss because of it. If you don't feel like you're missing anything, Brad, you're probably not. I was shadow banned equals I'm a victim of the government is watching me because I have special information no one else has. Yes. I know. It's this whole thing, and Jade and I have talked about it before on rants on her shows, that folks have this the main character syndrome. Jade did a show about it recently, where they think that they're actually, when people are asked, are you average, below average, or more important than the average person? So many folks say, I'm up here. They all think that they're under surveillance, that they're being watched, that they're the victim of more things. And guess what? They're just not. I know this for a fact. I am a public figure on the internet. And look, I'm careful. I'm still careful. I still have two-factor authentication on everything. I still make sure that I behave myself online. But I also know that when I'm hearing about things about hacking and spying and government interventions, no, no one cares about what Johns has to say about GarageBand. That's not what they're tracking, and they're not tracking you either. I'm really sorry. I know you say you don't want them to, but you kind of do. I know I'm not talking to anyone in this live chat right now, but you know these people, don't you? You know the people that are out there that are thinking this right now. Oh yeah. Oh, don't get started with driving. Everyone is a better driver than the average driver. It's the old what is it? The great man thing. Is an excellent driver. Should we talk about mastering? We're only going to go into this briefly here because I do have an appointment now. Yes, that mystery phone call before. I'm getting solar installed. Okay, it's not that exciting, except it kind of is because I want to do my bit to make sure that I'm not, burning down the planet with all the carbon emissions from all the gear that I use here. So yeah, we're looking to get some solar installed to reduce our energy cost and help out the world. So so I need to go and meet with the duty to check that out shortly. Yeah, let's just talk quickly about mastering. So I showed this during the week. I was going to do this whole section in here, but I decided I would go and do a video on it instead. So if you want to find the video where I go into mastering in GarageBand, you can, guess what? Search Pete Johns Mastering GarageBand. And it will bring up my latest video. It looks a little something like this. I didn't do a 5-minute tip. I made it a 10-minute one because I just couldn't cram all the stuff in to a 5-minute video. So you can watch the 10-minute video, but I'll show you really briefly a couple of things and a couple of tips and a couple of strategies here for GarageBand mastering. So here's my song 6 and 8 that you heard in the little interrupted bits where I was on the phone. I know, work energy, Pete. I know. How dare I? Exactly. Yeah, and it's going to be more rebates too because government got back in. So this is my song 6 and 8, and the tip up for years I said to folks in GarageBand, if you're trying to master, export it and then re-import it. I've learned over the years that the easiest way to do this here in GarageBand is to just merge it. So just tap, hit merge, tap on all the tracks, including this Gumby looking one up the top here, which sits over here instead of here. Just one of the many current GarageBand bugs that we're hoping that they fix, but probably won't until iOS 19 when they update the software. So we'll select all of these and we'll merge them down into one stereo track. Now, there's two fundamental things that folks miss the point on with mastering. One is that you need to reduce the input gain in order to add any mastering plugins. So especially in GarageBand, and especially in GarageBand iOS, where you cannot turn off auto normalization, what you'll notice here is this track has been normalized up to 0 dB. And I could show you, I could prove that, or you can take my word for it, because if we play it back here, you can see that it's going right up near the top there. But you're also seeing that there's some headroom there, like not headroom, but there is there's some dynamic range because I had this at a lower volume. The tip for that is if you're finding that your track here, when you're exporting it, it's already right at the top, or even worse, when you listen back to it, it's sounding pumpy or it's sounding distorted, it means that everything's too loud. And that's where you use our old friend, the FX hack. So to use this, we tap on the FX button and then tap on this one here, the mixer icon. It brings up this visual EQ and we can actually turn up or down the entire volume of this track. So for instance, if we're playing this back, we'll just come to the middle section here.
Happy to see that you're waltzing with me and we're dancing.
We can turn it down like this. And see how now it's not right at the top all the time? Or the the flip side of that is if it was all the way up here.
A reason I should dance. There would be romance.
So you can not only see that it's hitting the very top of this orange bar all the time, but I'll turn it up even more so that you get the effect more. If you do this again, you'll start hearing that pumping sound. So I want you to listen really carefully to this one.
Around the corner. 10 years later, we would be.
Oh, wow. Can you hear that every time it hits the snare, it ducks? It's like a side chain because that's exactly what it's doing. It's using the auto normalization and actually a multi-band compressor to actually push down the top. So every time that snare drum hits, you get the pumping sound. So if you're hearing any of that, you want to turn down your volume, and you do that here in the FX section by coming to Plugins and EQ, Visual EQ, and turn it down. That way, when you do your merge, it's going to merge at a low volume as well. And then you get left with something like this, where you've just got a stereo track. And then you can come in here to your plugins and EQ, and you can add whatever you want. So you can use just your standard visual EQ, you could use your standard compressor if you want, but the better compressor to use is the limiter. Now, the limiter here in GarageBand is super limited, pun intended. It doesn't have a whole bunch of features, but it works okay. So if you tap on the peak limiter here and hit done, you can jump in here and you can adjust the attack, the release, and the pre-gain. Attack you want pretty quick, release you want pretty quick too, otherwise it's going to get that pumping sound, and then you just turn up the gain accordingly. So with this one, what I would do is turn down the input gain by just dropping your volume here. Or you can use the EQ to drop the volume if you want a more accurate way. So if we leave the volume up there, we could get the EQ here. And that way we know we've gone down 5 dB on that one. and then hit your edit button. Make sure that your limiter is after everything else, because it's got to be the last thing in your chain, and then tap on this one. And then we can just play with this pre-gain. So let's play this back here in the middle
Dancing in 6 and 8 time.
and gain it up.
Now I found a reason I should dance.
And again, you want to mix with your ears, not with your eyes, but you'll see there with the little notches, they're sort of staying up there a little bit more. You don't want to turn it into a sausage where it's on all the time. Let's show you what that looks and sounds like.
There would be romance around the corner.
Can you hear how it's barely letting the mids and the high range through? Because every time a kick drum or a snare drum hits and it peaks that volume, it's ducking everything else. And the reason I wanted to talk about this in this video is that they're the two things that I get when folks are sending me songs for Your Music Live. The two biggest problems are someone hasn't just added a simple limiter to the output of their track, meaning that when I'm playing it back, I've got to ride the fader all the way up. Have you ever heard that? You're playing something on YouTube and then it goes to the next video and suddenly the volume drops dramatically and you can't hear it. And then you play the next one and it goes back up. Well, that's that radio ready volume. That's having those peaks up around 0 dB to make sure that people are going to be able to hear what you're saying. Now, you don't want it to be completely excessive. You don't want a sausage because that's going to remove the quiet parts. You don't want it all loud. You don't want it, Metallica loudness wars, Death Magnetic loud. You want it Foo Fighters, I'll stick around loud. Where there's still little bits where it drops down, you get some dynamic range. The other thing that people do wrong is have their stuff too loud. So the two beats of feedback I give most home recording folks is your mix is too low, your master is too quiet, or your mix is too hot, your master is too loud. And when I say too loud, it's usually that the dynamics are removed. So the quiet parts don't sound quiet enough because the compressor has pulled them all up to the same volume as the loud bits. And that doesn't create an interesting listening experience. The other thing is, when it's too loud, you get the little clicks and pops and bits of distortion, which sound really bad. And what people don't seem to hear is that pumping, that wavering you get at the top end. And I don't know if I'm just completely tuned into it, dialed into it, and that other people don't, wrong screen, that other people don't, but I just, I think that it's an easy fix. The reason that I want to rant about this is that it's an easy fix. Put a limiter on the end of your mix and bring it up, even if you do nothing else with mastering. If you don't play with reverb or EQ or multiband compressors or any of that, just put a limiter on and make sure that you're at least hitting up to 0 dB. Or close to 0 dB, -1, -0.1, whatever you like to use. And the other thing is, make sure you're not distorting or clipping or pumping at the top end. And those two things are honestly going to fix 90% of the problems with songs that I hear being submitted for Your Music Live. So hopefully that helps you out. Alrighty. What are we talking? Homeschooling. Geez. The problem with homeschooling is curriculum and standardization, which I don't agree with standardization. I think people should learn in their own way, absolutely. But homeschooling, again, we're not we go down this track. But the problem is that homeschooling can be the content can be determined and changed, and the intent changed, which is where we get people that come out of that realm without the right idea about the world, and that's worrying. But again, I also don't think that standardized, formalized education is the way either. I think something in between. Something where we have the basic, here's how life works and reality works, and here's the facts that you need to know. And then importantly, here's how to learn. How to learn, not what to learn, but how to learn. So much more important. Facts are everywhere now. We've got Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia can be changed, but facts are everywhere. The news is everywhere. You got to learn how to learn, and you got to learn how to be, to analyze things and to actually understand where the source of things is coming from. And that's more important, I think, than anything. Because, again, I've spoken about this a whole lot, but my biggest parenting challenge is making sure that my kids are not taking everything on face value. And look, should everyone be giant, cynical, skeptical, scathing of everything, don't trust anyone, never believe a thing? No, not really. But I think too much we go the other way, which is that we believe everything we see. And so much of it is completely false and wrong and misdirected. And this has got nothing to do with GarageBand or Apple or technology. So that's all I got to say about that. So I say all that to say, please, yeah, support your kids, support your public schools. Jade's out to film Walk with me. Jade, if you are creating a film in Australia and you would like to air it in America, 100% tariff. So if you are planning to give Jade a $5 donation this week on Walk with me, that will need to be $10. Okay, we clear on that? 100% tariff. That's how I interpret it. All donations for all the stuff that we give you, all of our content out of beautiful Australia, 100% tariffs. Give us double donations. No, your donations are always expected and never welcome. No, flip that. Reverse it. Did I have anything else to talk about here? Oh, the one thing I did get shown this and told this. So if you've been following, the Plugin Alliance had a web page where you could actually use their mastering studio for free to master your stuff. Well, they've removed that. That's the bad news. But the good news is they've replaced it with this. It is an app available on Mac and Windows that you can download and master your stuff for free. I haven't checked it out yet. I will be checking it out. And shout out to our friend Scotty Baby, who let me know that this change had happened. I had dabbled in the website before and it was pretty good and I was planning to cover it, but now it doesn't exist. The only downside of this is that it doesn't have an iOS application. So you will need a Mac or a PC to use it, but it is BX Mastering Studio. You can go to mastering.studio to check it out. And I haven't found a catch yet. Apparently it's unlimited, free mastering with a bunch of cool plugins, and yeah, it looks kind of cool. So is it going to live up to its radness? Don't know. We'll explore it. We'll investigate it. We'll see. My daughter went to public school, but taught her to question everything. Now she has a PhD in biochemistry and still questions everything. Yeah. And that's the thing. Question everything. Questioning things is not a bad thing. Having the ability to know that not everything you get told is to be taken on face value. To have those critical thinking skills is what I was trying to get to. And I don't think that we also need to teach children how to budget and how to do housework. Every school should have a laundry, a kitchen, a bedroom that they have to do. To pass, I don't know, 8th grade, you should have to be able to stack and unstack a dishwasher, microwave your own bloody porridge, and tidy a room. You need to set up a room and just spread clothes and crud all over it, and the kid has to go in there and make the bed and tidy the room. Otherwise, they don't pass the 8th grade. I think that would be great. Life skills for the win. Or should we be teaching that at home? I don't know. Hey, the Mix Club, you're who I was talking about when we were talking about live chat and top chat before, because every time you say balls, it'll cost you $2 or $4 in the new Australian 100% tariff scheme. All right, that's going to do it for this one, folks. I got to go and talk to a man about a dog. I hope you had a good time. I know we were a little bit random and all over the place in this show. It's kind of how this show rolls, and I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to apologize for it because it's my opportunity to let my hair down and just have a chat about things that are on my mind and in the news and related to Apple or music creation, at least generally, if not specifically. That is going to do it, though. Please, folks, this week. Frank Terzo, the Community Pulse, is on right now. In fact, it's happening as we speak. So jump on over to that one. To Frank, you'll be dumped there after this. He's got, who's that, Joel Thomas, who's on there, which is Red Heaven, and Liza Day in Glorious Black and White is his co-host today. So go check out Frank. Say g'day from me if you're watching live. And until next time, folks, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.